An electrical accident at the Shin-Kori Nuclear Power Plant has raised concerns about safety standards there. 3 people were injured. A new KBS documentary unveils the most spectacular festival of the Joseon dynasty through the pages of the Weegwe. And an international music market in Seoul has put the spotlight on Korean indie music. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Friday, October 11th. I'm Luke Clary. 3 people were injured in an accident at the Shin-Kori Nuclear Power Plant. The plant, which is still under construction, was already under scrutiny for questionable safety standards.
Reactor 3 of the Shin-Kori Nuclear Power Plant is set to begin operating next year in August. Yesterday afternoon, an electrical accident occurred in the reactor's refrigerating device, injuring 3 officials, 2 from the Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power and 1 from another company. They received burns from sudden sparks while they were examining the power circuit breaker of the refrigerating device. The severity of the burns ranges from 1st to 3rd degrees. The injured workers were rushed to a nearby hospital to undergo medical treatment and are reported to be in stable condition. But the executives of the nuclear power plant didn't report the accident to police, raising suspicions of their attempts to conceal it. Reactor 3 made headlines before for using components supplied by a company that had forged safety evaluation papers. A recent parliamentary inspection also revealed that nearly half of the key components used in the reactor regarding its safety were inspected by the supplying companies and not by experts. The government is pushing for the construction of high-voltage power transmission towers in Milyang, despite the residents' opposition, since it plans to start the operation of Reactor 3 next year. With such ongoing issues, concerns and distrust over the reactor's safety continue to escalate as next year approaches.
The Bank of Korea has lowered Korea's expected growth rate for next year to 3.8%, raising concerns that the government could come up $374 million short in tax revenue.
Following the International Monetary Fund's footsteps, the Bank of Korea also lowered the expected growth rate for Korea next year. The reason behind the move is the worsening global conditions, which includes the instability of developing countries that could hinder Korea's export-focused economy.
그런 일부 이제 취약한 신흥국들을 중심으로 내년에는 그 성장세가 둔화될 것으로 예상되는 점이 가장 큰 부분이라고 하겠습니다.
Domestic factors such as household debts, the sluggish real estate market, and decreased investment of social overhead capital are another concern. Accordingly, the Bank of Korea lowered Korea's growth rate for 2014 to 3.8%, similar to the IMF's prediction. This is 0.1% points lower than the government's estimated growth rate. A 0.1% point lower growth rate translates into a tax revenue decrease of around $187 million. This means that the government will need to make concerted efforts to boost the economy next year.
단기 어떤 재정 수지에 연연하지 말고 조금 어떤 성장 혹은 경제 활력을 넓힐 수 있도록 경기를 살리는 방향이 근본적으로 좀 더 맞는 기조가 아닌가.
This could be an additional burden on the government's budget. The Bank of Korea also warned that the nation's economic growth could drop even further should the global economic health worsen.
Korean independence activists are revered for efforts to end Japanese colonial rule, although they did sometimes resort to violence. A Japanese record outlines the assassination plot of one group of activists in fascinating detail.
After Yoon Bong-gil's patriotic movement of 1932, the Japanese colonists stepped up their suppression of the anti-Japanese movement in China. On March 17, 1933, Japanese minister to China Akira Ariyoshi invited pro-Japanese Chinese officials to a restaurant in Shanghai in order to receive their help. Korean independence activists Baek Jung-gi, Won Sim-chang, and Lee Kang-hoon found out about the meeting and tried to assassinate the Japanese minister with a bomb. But the Japanese learned about the plot before they were able to execute it. One documentary production firm discovered a document describing the assassination attempt. It was drafted by the Japanese, and it contains all the details of the plot.
그러나 실패했던 것은 아니었었어요. 왜냐하면 이 일본 군수 내부하고 친일파 중국 사람들의 결탁을 널리 알려야겠다라는 거였기 때문에
The document says that the Japanese consulate, police, and secret agents cooperated to prevent the assassination as they knew all about the plan. It also describes the accomplices' escape route, the location of their shelter, and the size of the bomb, which was disguised as a packed lunch. It serves as further proof of how closely Japanese colonists followed Korean independence fighters. The discovery of the documents sheds new light on the assassination attempt, as this year will mark its 80th anniversary.
The books containing records and drawings of important royal events during the Joseon dynasty are known as the Wigwe. A new KBS documentary series retraces the largest royal festival of that era through the pages of the Wigwe.
In 1795, during the Joseon dynasty, King Jeongjo marked his 19th year on the throne. To celebrate his mother's 60th birthday, he created a parade and headed down to Hwasong, Suwon. Around 6,000 attendants and 1,400 horses formed the procession, which came out to form a line more than 1 kilometer long. It was the largest royal event held during the Joseon dynasty, costing around $6.54 million in current currency. The 8-day celebration is recorded in court records called the Wigwe. KBS reenacted the event based on information documented in the annals. Scenes from the reenactment include the parade's crossing over the Han River by means of a makeshift bridge formed by 36 ships, the construction of the then cutting-edge Hwasong Fortress, a demonstration of new weapons, and a performance by more than 100 musicians.
그 이전의 의궤와는 완전히 다른 체제와 형식과 그 내용으로 이제 꾸며져 있습니다.
Through the celebration, King Jeongjo wanted to comfort the spirit of his father, Crown Prince Sado, and to strengthen the influence of the Joseon dynasty. The KBS documentary cost around $1.4 million and took 2 years to produce. It airs on KBS 1 on Thursday evenings at 10 p.m.
More than 250,000 ancient books and many national treasures are held at the Seoul National University Kyujang-gak Institute of Korean Studies, which just held its first ever fire drill as a precaution.
Historical materials listed in UNESCO's Memory of the World Register are kept at Seoul National University's Kyujang-gak Institute of Korean Studies. Around 100,000 people visit the place each year. The lights suddenly go out and visitors line up to evacuate. Fire doors come down to block out smoke. Employees rush in to move the ancient documents out safely. The books are carefully removed from the glass shelves and put into wooden boxes. Since the books are easily flammable, they have to be evacuated fast. The fire has spread to the entire building. Firemen rescue visitors still trapped inside. The books and visitors are evacuated within 10 minutes after the fire breaks out.
규장각이 가지고 있는 조선시대 고문서 25만 여점은 불에 타기 쉽기 때문에 몸으로 직접 부닥쳐서 뛰는 그 훈련을 최초로 실시하게 되었습니다.
The institute conducted the fire drill for the first time and plans to carry it out each year.
If you've lived in an apartment, you've probably experienced a noisy neighbor before. The frustration that results has actually driven people to murder or arson. So a new initiative has children writing letters to ease the tensions between floors.
2 neighbors were killed in a fight. 2 others were killed in a fire that was set downstairs. It was started as a means for revenge for the noise between the floors. To solve this acute social issue, children living in the same apartment building decided to write letters to their neighbors. They wrote about their regrets over causing noise disturbances in their building and apologized to those living downstairs.
밤중에 동생과 떠들고 놀아서요. 불편하셨다면 죄송합니다.
The children personally delivered their letters to their neighbors.
막 뛰어놀고 소리 지르고 그랬었는데 편지 쓰면서 피해가 가지 않았나 하고 생각했었어요.
Elementary school students living in this building have written more than 1,000 letters to their neighbors since May. Amazingly enough, their efforts paid off.
좀 소리가 나거나 그러면 좀 불쾌하고 그랬었거든요. 그런데 이제 이런 편지나 이런 계기로 다시 한번 서로 이해를 하고 배려하면서
The number of complaints regarding the noise between the floors in this building plummeted from 74 in May to 21 in September. The children's letters proved to be effective in resolving conflicts within the community.
What's known as mountain ridge climbing is popular this time of year, but safety is the key to enjoying this exhilarating thrill.
Mountains begin turning colors with the fall season. It's a sight to behold if you enjoy scenery while climbing. Ridge climbing is when you scale the rocky ridges of a mountain. At whichever spot you're at, you can take an open view as there's no trees blocking you. It's also thrilling to climb up the more challenging sections.
리지 등반하면은 이제 주변에 경치를 감상하면서 그다음에 이렇게 능선을 오르락 내리락 할 수 있다는 게 좋은 것 같아요.
Ridge climbing is different from vertical rock climbing, where your main goal is to reach the major peaks. Anyone can enjoy ridge climbing with the basic skills. However, you have to equip yourself with safety gear because of the risk of falling. A helmet, a good pair of hiking shoes, and a rope are essential.
팀으로 하는 우리 같이 이렇게 팀으로 하면은 장비를 다 착용을 하고 그다음에 이제 안전모를 쓰고 이렇게 등반을 하는 게 좋아요.
Once you can scale the ridges that seem to touch the sky, the rocks become your best pals. Many people are taking on this challenging pastime due to the breathtaking thrills.
International music market in Seoul has repositioned the spotlight from young idol groups and big-name agencies to authentic Korean indie music.
A Korean indie band is performing at a club in the U.S. It's a showcase to industry officials for their U.S. debut. For an indie band to advance to the U.S., it needs to be in charge of every step it takes, which is dotted with trials and errors.
재정적인 지원이라든지 이런 부분에서도 어려움이 있었어요. 밴드나 이렇게 공연을 하는 주최 측 자체에서 여러 가지 악기라든지 장비들을 스스로 동원해야 되는.
Global music market officials have come to Seoul to meet Korean talents this time around. Foreign buyers and domestic agencies discuss export deals on the spot. A Korean band chosen by a famed foreign producer who's also in Seoul will be qualified to take part at Midem, which is a renowned music festival held annually in France. Korean and foreign composers are also teaming up. This is to catch up on and incorporate global music trends with Korean music in an effort to facilitate the advancement of Korean bands abroad. The success of K-pop, the core of the Korean wave phenomenon, has now led to famous producers and composers visiting Korea. This is opening up fresh new roads for Korean indie music, leading these artists out into the world.
You've heard the expression, don't be a dummy, right? Well, as it turns out, dummies play an important role in modern society, but you probably still wouldn't want to be one. This Car Safety Research Institute regularly conducts crash tests like these. They are essential to designing cars built to protect passengers in traffic accidents. And here's the star of the show, the crash test dummy.
충돌 사고가 일어나면 얼마나 치명적인 상해를 입히는지 그런 걸 확인하기 위한 시험용 더미입니다.
This crash test clocks in at 50 kilometers per hour. The dummy is outfitted with all kinds of high-tech sensors to measure the intensity of the crash. The data from these tests can be used for designing safer cars. The dummies are made to reflect human likeness in body weight and height. Their bones are made of metal. Their aluminum chassis is covered in rubber to simulate muscle. The skin is made of plastic, making it easier to identify scratches. And they even have simulated organs. The high-performance sensors contained within accurately measure the intensity of the crash and the shocks the dummy incurs.
이 방향으로 충격을 주면 데이터가 그려지는 것을 확인할 수 있습니다. 사람의 각 부위별로 인체 상해가 얼마나 데미지를 입었는지 확인할 수 있는 거죠.
More lifelike dummies can appear in movies and TV shows. We take you to the place where baby dummies are born. It takes a lot of time and effort to make dummies that look so lifelike. Each of the thousands of eyelashes and hairs are placed one by one.
최대한 사람이랑 비슷해야 되기 때문에 인모 사용하고 있어요. 아기 같은 경우는 어른보다 모발이 훨씬 가늘어서 저희가 최대한 얇은 모발을 구해서 지금 심고 있거든요.
It comes down to every detail, even individual sweat pores. First, a plaster mannequin is molded. Then that's covered in skin made with silicone and a special clay. Even the palm prints are engraved with exquisite detail. The entire dummy life cycle is represented here from babies to corpses. They look so lifelike, people often mistake them for humans.
가끔 촬영에 쓰는 더미를 한쪽에 보관해 두는데 지나가던 시민분들이 보시고는 신고를 하셔서 경찰이 출동한 적도 있고요. 그럼 저희가 그만큼 잘 만들었구나 하고 희열을 느껴요.
Dummies are indispensable when it comes to certain tasks, ensuring the safety of and providing entertainment for their living, breathing counterparts, us humans. And now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you on Monday at the same time. Have a great day.